Hey there, Dan Martell here, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this video, I want to teach you how to rock your next product demo. Now, many founders or folks have a challenge around product demos because they usually lose their audience, go way too long, and talk about things that don't matter to the person they're demoing. Now, if you've got a key investor or a key hire or a potential customer that you need to get on board to using your product, then you're going to want to learn how I use my 9-box model to create a product demo that gets people engaged, retained, and buying my software. Now, if you're new to my content, I just want to share a few things real quick. Some of you may know me as the founder of Clarity or Flowtown, but I've been building companies for over 20 years, all in the SaaS space. And, I've built 5 companies. The last 2 were venture-backed. And I've exited the last 3. I've also sold over $30 million in software sales personally, myself selling. I've been a speaker at some of the coolest universities, which is kind of fascinating to me because I never went to university. I also have one of the top YouTube channels in the world for B2B SaaS and was named amongst a bunch of folks that I watch their content like Gary Vee and Marie Forleo, et cetera, on Entrepreneur Magazine for top YouTube channels for entrepreneurs to watch. And I've also had the privilege of coaching 100+ SaaS founders to really scale their businesses around the areas of attract, convert, expand, and scale, what I call my ACEs growth engine. But what I see most often with founders when they're doing product demos is they never end, okay? They go on and on. I don't know if you've ever been to Disneyland, but if I wanted to torture somebody, I'm sending them on this ride, right? This is the Small World ride, and essentially it's that song, "It's a Small World After All." And the whole time, I went there recently with my kids, the whole time it's playing this song, and I can't even imagine how this was a hit back in the 30s. But anyways, still there today. They have refurbished it a little bit, but it is definitely not the one you're going to want to seek out and wait in line for, and it will bore you to death. You also don't want your customers to act like, Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, where you're demoing your product and they're just like they're like, no reaction, nothing. What you want instead is them to be engaged and really talking to you and making sure that they feel like they're part of a process and not just feeling like they're going to be sold to. And you want to ensure that as you have these sales conversations, as you do a product demo, that you do it in a way that creates momentum so you don't have these long 16-month sales cycle, which I've seen in many mid-market and enterprise products. So what I'm promising you today on this video is something totally different. I'm going to teach you how to do a product demo in 25 minutes, and I'm going to show you how to break that down so you can guide the conversation. It's going to be fast and furious. I'm going to show you how to do it in a way that welcomes you into the customer's world, where they say, hey, it's like if somebody came to your door and they knocked on the door and they just walked into your, they invited you into their living room to have a conversation. That's what's going to happen if you use this process. And I also want to show you how to navigate the sale, because one of the biggest challenges after you do a product demo, especially if you're selling to, a complex sales scenario, is you need to have the customer, the person buying, the buyer, your champion, help you navigate the sales process. And this is how we're going to reduce. Many of my clients reduce their sales cycles by 1/3 to half using the 5th principle I'm going to teach you on today's training. Now, if you don't have a copy of my Rocket Demo Builder, be sure to go to that link and download yours. It's 100% free. I also have kind of the training and the highlights in there, as well as the worksheet that you can work through with your team, or you can use yourself on your next demo call. Now, I want to walk you through the 5 core principles of really nailing a Rocket demo. Number 1 is we need to lead by questions. Much like Charlie Rose would sit there, and if you really listen to many of the interviews he's done over the years, he had a really great way of asking questions that made the person feel comfortable. It made them feel like they were heard, that they were understood. And in many cases, it got them to disclose information about their reality that otherwise they would have kept close to their chest. They would have been so open about it. And to me, this is the exact same process we need to take when we're doing a product demo. And I call these sales phrases. It's not scripts. A lot of people make the mistake of saying, well, I need a demo script. I need a sales script. That's not the way to do it. We want to feel genuine and connected with our audience, and we don't want to feel overly rehearsed. So the way to do that is sales phrases, which are questions that are preset for each core section of the product or the Rocket Demo Builder. We need to make sure that we have those questions ready to go to really dive deep into their reality. Because at the end of the day, if they're not willing to have a conversation with us, it's going to make it really hard for us to do our job on our product demo. Next is we got to connect the pain. Okay, the way I think about this, it's kind of like an elastic band, right? We're pulling from where they're at today, their current reality, and then we're presenting to them the potential opportunity. And in doing that, it's like an elastic. The more we pull, the more we get clear and we understand specifically what challenges they're facing, the pain they're facing, how it's showing up in their reality, and they understand how our solution, our product can really serve them in the future. That tension is really where the sale is made. Most people, when they're doing a product demo to get a sale, they're not talking about the pain. They're not quantifying the cost. They're not spending enough time truly understanding what are the challenges that your potential customers are facing, that they're looking for your solution to solve. And then your role is to then pitch them the potential of that solution to create that gap and connect their pain to your solution. If they don't feel like what you have is going to solve their pain, then you're never going to be able to get the customer to buy in. Number 3 is we need to demo, not tour. Okay, and this is obviously, Steve Jobs and Tim now, the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook. These people are masterful at taking a very complex electronic gear or software and really thinking about what are the key elements that my customer would want to see, that if they saw how it worked, it would have these really wow moments, these aha moments. And that to me is the difference between product tours versus product demos. Most founders or folks that are doing product demos, they're doing a click-by-click show and tell. This is not a show and tell. What we want to do is upfront, and why we're leading with questions and we're connecting to pain, is we want to unsurface or bring to surface the challenges, the specific challenges that they're having. And then when we go to demo, we have those parts of the product queued up and ready to go. We do not want to walk them through our login and our configuration wizard and our preference pages and the settings and all these things that literally don't matter. What we want to do is ask them, this is your challenge, correct? Yes. Hey, this is another thing you mentioned as a challenge. Yes, correct. Then we go right in. So here's how our product would solve that problem. Boom. We talk about that solution specifically as a feature, not the whole product. I think too often we do definitely need to kind of give an agenda, give an overview of the product, but we do not need to do a click by click show and tell. We want to keep it short and specific and make sure that we demo the solution and how it solves our problem, not tour it all over the place. So that's 3. Number 4, we want to peg the money shot. The money shot to me is really the opportunity to leave the conversation on a high. It's kind of like, you drop the mic moment. It's where you ask them, let's say there's 3 big challenges. Okay, so you mentioned you have this challenge, this challenge, this challenge. The biggest one that you feel is, or the one that your solution really solves the best, you want to save that for last because you want to end on a high. It's called the recency bias that humans have. And if we end on a high, that's what they're going to remember. So we want to make sure that the last thing we show them, we say, this is their challenge. Yes, this is what you mentioned that's challenging for you. Perfect. Here's how our solution, our product, our software solves that problem. We show it to them and it's like, boom. And then ideally when they're on the call, they're going, wow, that's amazing. So we want to make sure that we peg the money shot at the end in a way that really gives you that kind of like drop the mic moment. And number 5 is we have to use what's called the virtual close when we're selling. And this is where I think, it's the 10-80-10 principle of selling. 10% of the people we're going to buy anyway. 10% of the people we're never going to buy. They were tire kickers. They're doing market research. They're not in market. And really, as professionals, as founders, as salespeople, we need to make sure that we use sales processes and enthusiasm and questioning to get people to buy, right? And this is the buying process. So the virtual close is really kind of pre-closing the customer early in the conversation. We want to see these questions, but we want to ask them. It's like, John, let's say John's a customer. John, it sounds like you guys have bought other solutions like ours in the past. I'm just curious, if we were to move forward today, who are all the different departments that we'd have to interact with to make sure that we got this solution deployed at your company, right? And the reason we ask that is we want them to tell us about, security, IT, procurement. There's all these different legal. There's all these different departments, especially if you're selling to mid and enterprise customers, where if you're not aware, you might get a verbal, yeah, this is amazing, let's move forward, but you don't realize there's other people in the organization that are actually going to need to be on board to make that decision. And by using the virtual close, not only do you get to go to the end and work backwards and say, okay, so John, here's what I'm hearing is, next step for us is to get a meeting scheduled so that we can review the customer needs assessment from these different heads of the department. Yes, that's true. And then after that, we'd have to work with legal to make sure that our contract fits within the the guidelines that they like to follow. Yes, so redline the legal. Then we'd have to then meet, once that gets approved, then we got to meet with IT and security to make sure that our product works within the security context of your organization. Yes, perfect, great. And then there needs to be a training component, et cetera. But like understanding that, asking that question, the virtual close up front is going to transform your ability to move a conversation or a demo from this is really cool to here's the action plan that we're going to follow over the next 6 weeks to move this forward, or the next 2 months to help you. So John, you mentioned that I'm going to have to work with IT and security. I'm just curious, what's the name of the individual there if we were to move forward that I'd have to interact with? I just want to make sure that I got my notes and I'm kind of being proactive, and they're going to give you that person's name. That is incredible. It really future paces their belief in using your software and becoming customers of your world. So those are the 5 core principles to the Rocket Demo Builder. There is a 9-box model that you follow in regards to the prep, how you do the research on the business, you diagnose their problem, the orchestration, the agenda, review key features. It's all listed in that worksheet. Feature 1, 2, and 3, drop with the money shot, and then the review, close, and follow up is kind of the last phase. And if I would break it down into a time component, be sure to click the link, or you can't click it, but maybe there's a link around here. You could download this. But the first part is really the first 7 minutes of the call. The next one is about 10 minutes. And then finally, at the end, you want to review, close, and follow up. Now, the big thing is called BAM FAM. Book a meeting from a meeting, okay? And that's in the fall. Never, ever, ever get off a product demo with a prospect and not have the next meeting scheduled. So what I'll do is, hey, John, so John will say, this is amazing, Dan, I'd love to move forward. Next step for us is to meet with Jane and Mark in whatever business unit to make sure that they understand how their needs are going to be addressed. Perfect. Why don't we do this? Mark or John, what are their email addresses? Perfect. I'm going to go on my calendar. And what about Thursday next week? Usually I always take whatever day of the week we are right now at the exact same time. I'll take the next week, or I might do 3 days out. But you want to do it on the call so that they actually, the person that you're inviting, you get that booked. And maybe it's just for them to have the meeting and then your follow-up of their meeting. So you still book the meeting with the individual that you're talking with. So real quick recap of the 5 core principles of delivering a killer product demo. Number 1, we want to lead by questions. So that means asking phrases or have sales phrases ready to go. So we're always ready to prompt and cue. We want to connect to the pain the customer has, understand their reality and the potential future, and stretch that gap so that it creates tension, because that's where the sale is made. We want to demo, not tour our product. So we want to have those key features ready to present based on the challenges they mentioned that they're facing. We want to peg the money shot, leave the best for last, drop that mic. And then finally, we want to use the virtual close to help navigate the sale as we have the conversation. So use the Rocket Demo Builder framework. I essentially have worksheets like this that I use every time I have a demo conversation. So I'm filling it out, I'm following the process, I'm prompting, I'm making sure I'm hitting all the key elements to move that conversation forward. So if you have any questions, post them below. But really excited to be here. You can find more information on how to grow and scale your SaaS business at danmartell.com. Also check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Dan V as in Victor, Martell. So Dan V. Martell is my channel, and appreciate for watching, and look forward to hopefully meeting you at an event in the near future. All the best. Cheers. Peace.